So what do you want to know?
Sibling groups have often topped the charts, from the Bee Gees to the Jacksons. But currently, one brother and his 3 sisters are the biggest family group on this side of the Atlantic. The Corrs' journey to stardom began with Barons in the Bedroom and led to runaway record success and stadium sellouts. From Dundalk to worldwide acclaim, this is their story so far. Not a lot of people will know this, but you have actually been a band for 10 years now. But where did the idea to actually form a band within the family start?
I was older than the rest of the girls, so I had I was always in the back of my mind that I wanted to get a band together. And so I was off doing being a session musician and playing with other various different people around Europe. And when I came back, I happened to meet with the man who's currently our manager, John Hughes. And John was involved in the casting of the Commitments film, and I told him about my sisters, and I suggested to him that I get them up to audition, and we did. We auditioned in a place called the Waterfront Bar in Dublin on the Quays, and we auditioned to Alan Parker and played 2 songs. I'm sure we were absolutely terrible, but that was exactly 10 years. That was exactly 10 years to the day.
Yeah, it's 10 years since we auditioned for the Commitments and met our manager, so it's quite special, really. Quite a feat, really, to stay together as a family for 10 years. Mustang Sally.
The idea to form a band was really just to try and get a gig with this movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we always had in our heads anyway, but I think that with the audition of the Commitments, it was like a chance to kind of get us up on stage. I mean, we hadn't even written anything at this stage. I mean, Andrew was 15, I was 16. So, I mean, we were all quite young, so it was kind of, just get up there and try and play.
And this was the first time the 3 of you girls had met John Hughes, who was the musical director for the Commitments, wasn't he? Yeah.
Mustang Sally, now, baby.
I met the Corrs first in 1990. It was June 14. We were doing auditions for the Commitments. They were very young, I think Andrew was 15. They were pretty, they were very obliging, and they sounded great. Outside of that, they weren't anything like majorly different than anybody else. They didn't get parts in the movie.
I'm gonna be wiping those weeping eyes.
I think he's admitted himself since that he had never had any desire to manage a band until he saw you. But something really special unfolded for him that day. Did you feel the same?
Yeah, I think we all felt a connection. There was a chemistry between us, just in the fun that we had, first of all, and also we understood each other musically, I think, as well, and we understood. I think John, knew that this was something that he'd love to work with.
I would run away. I would run away with you.
So the day was arranged, I would go and meet the family and the band officially. So I remember going to Dundalk. Jim met me. He said, we better go pick up the girls, Andrea and Caroline. I thought, fine. And we did, and we went to a school. And 2 girls came out in green uniforms, ties, and school bags over their backs. And I thought, wow, that wasn't quite what I had in mind. I thought I was going to meet, stars. You forget they were coming from school.
I think there are very few people with a vision like John Hughes is around, and kind of the broad enough mind to say that you can take a family out of Dundalk on the east coast of Ireland and expose them to America and expose them to Australia and expose them to all over the world and have them be a success. I think that takes a vocation almost, and so that was really, he was absolutely the main thing.
Show me the way of life. Bring on the secret life.
When you look back on that, do you laugh?
Oh my God, yeah. You have to laugh. Oh God, if I'm my team, when I look at today, I laugh. Every day I generally laugh at the way we are. I think we're quite comical. But particularly back then. Particularly, like being so young and so into it.
What do you think you can prove?
You know, if you ever look back and you see yourself kind of grooving, yeah, I'm kind of cool. You know, and no, it's not happening.
Trying so hard.
No.
What about the way you looked then?
That's
Big hair.
very funny.
Big hair and chubby cheeks. That's the way I looked.
'Cause we are so young now. We are so young now.
Like, if anybody looks back at the 80s, it was hilarious. I mean, everybody had a perm. Everybody's hair just looked wrecked. It was awful, and the makeup with the, you know, just permanent blue eyeliner. It was awful, but at the time you thought you were beautiful, so, you know, it worked.
'Cause we are so young now. We are so young now.
Because you and Andrew were so young, it was really important that your parents supported you as a group. And they really did, didn't they? I mean, without that support, you probably wouldn't be here today. Would that be fair to say?
It's very true. It's very, very true. They supported us in every way, you know. Love, encouragement, financially as well, at a certain stage.
Which parents are always good for.
Yes.
Yeah. But not all parents, because understandably, a lot of parents would be slightly discouraging about the siblings getting involved in this business for obvious reasons. But because our parents had been involved in the business themselves, and we grew up in that whole musical environment with them, they were much more encouraging, I think, than the average parent would be. So we were lucky.
So when John said, right, I want to make this band a band, what kind of happened next for you?
Let me see, I moved home from Dublin. We started writing and recording. I bought some equipment, little small 8-track, and set it up in, I rented a house and set all the equipment up in a little bedroom studio, and we started writing and recording there.
Because I have you. I want you now more than ever before.
The first couple of songs, I'm sure, we wouldn't listen back to them. I'm sure they were terrible. But we tried to come up with a unique sound. And we'd all been, over the years, been influenced by traditional Irish music, by rock and by pop. And so it was kind of obvious to us, and it was very quickly that we came up with that sound.
Say it's true. There's nothing like me and you. I'm not alone. Tell me you feel it too. And I would run away. I would run away. Yeah, yeah. I would run away. I would run away with you. 'Cause I'm falling in love with you. No, never. I'm never gonna stop falling in love with you. Close the door. They tear upon the floor, and by candlelight make love to me through the night. 'Cause I have run away. I have run away. Yeah, yeah. I have run away, run away. I have run away with you.
You must have been quite confident in your abilities to actually believe that you could sit down and write music, because not everybody has that in them. You must have known instinctively that that's something you could do.
I don't think we did know. I think that we tried, and I think you know, any songwriter will say, you know, that you know, practice makes perfect, and you just keep writing. We didn't know. I mean, I didn't know at a young age that that we could write. You know, obviously Jim had a little bit more experience because he was older, so, and he was encouraging in that way for all of us to, you know, write. And you know, like at 16, I mean, how are you going to know you can write a song? You don't know. So I mean, we just kept working at it together, and just got better at the songwriting.
I give my word to you. Send her away to her grieving. I will never set you free.
your very first gig as the Corrs?
The Waterfront.
Yeah, it was the same place we auditioned in, wasn't it?
Really?
Same place we auditioned in,
Yeah.
It was the Waterfront.
In Dublin.
And it was one of the most nerve-wracking gigs we've ever done because it was to our family and friends, and it was quite an intimate gig. There was only about 200 people.
Their first gig, the Corrs.
It's very hard to play in front of people that know you very well, and I remember that on that occasion, it's the only time that I've ever done it, but I actually got sick physically twice before I went on the stage.
I remember we were all nervous. And nervous for each other, I suppose, but it's the first gig, you know, we'd never done it before. It was weird. To get 200 people to your first gig is pretty amazing. And we bribed them. Bought them our curry afterwards. So with the first gig out of the way, you then had to start about building a reputation for the band with a view to getting a contract with a major label. But it didn't come quickly, did it?
No, it didn't. We had a few disappointments. We'd been writing for quite a while, and we had the interest of one particular label in the UK, and what we heard back from them about what they said about our demo sounded very, very encouraging, and they sent 2 people over to see us. So we set up just in a little rehearsal room. We set ourselves up a little bit of a showcase.
Yeah.
And we did our best, which obviously wasn't good enough because they went away, and it was very encouraging then, and then we heard nothing back from them, which was quite a blow to us. But we still carried on, you know. I think that's why we're lucky that there is that bond between us, you know, because we're family, that it enables us to overcome those obstacles that come in your way.
She goes searching for the man long forgiven, but not forgotten. You're forgiven, not forgotten. You're forgiven, not forgotten. You're forgiven, not forgotten. You're forgiven.
We got together with John Hughes in 1990, and basically 5 years later we started making the first album. So it did take 5 years to get a record deal, although at the time it didn't seem like it, because we had so much to do in the meantime, and we had to write songs, we had to become good at writing songs, we had to become better on our instruments. So those 5 years were used up very well, even though it was very laborious for us and very frustrating. I think it was very worthwhile time.
You're not forgotten. No, you're not forgotten. Say it's true.
Now, you've finally got a deal in the States after playing to goodness knows how many lounges and bars around Ireland, pig farmers' conventions. I mean, you really did play to all those kinds of people, didn't you? And then when you got on that flight to America, did you suddenly feel a little bit green? to it all?
A little bit green. We were the most naive innocence. I mean, getting there's quite funny stories about the flight. I have to tell you one of my Sharon.
Oh no, please.
Okay.
No, don't say this story. Hang on, I'm telling
Okay,
your
right,
story first. She got on
tell
the flight, right? She got on the flight. She turns around to Jim, and they come up with the meal, and she goes, "Oh, you get food as well, do you?" She couldn't believe you actually got food on a flight. We were on a flight for 7 hours. She thought she was going to starve for the whole
I
flight.
loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
Did you try to pay for it?
I have to tell you.
Oh, mine was ridiculous.
Okay, this is Sharon. Yeah, no, I didn't try to pay for it. I just was very giddy at the concept of paper knives and forks and some food coming my way.
No, don't tell mine. It's ridiculous.
Okay,
Don't.
but yours is funny.
No, you've told her.
I know,
She
but
has
hers
to
is
tell
nicer.
yours.
Mine is just too stupid for words.
Okay, we're going through the packages. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We're going through the packages, right, that you get, and you know, you've got your toothpaste and stuff like this. So we're going through it like, wow, what's in here? You know,
It's exciting, you
stuff
know.
like that, and the socks that come along as well. And so Sharon goes, "Oh God, why did they give you socks?" And our manager goes, "That's because," and you know the way your ears are a bit funny on the flight anyway. He goes, "That's because, you know, when you get into the air, when you reach a certain altitude, your feet swell. So it's better to take off your shoes, put the socks on." So we all put on our socks and sit there. And then later on the flight, Sharon goes, she goes, "I don't think my feet are smelling."
You see, if you want to know if we were green, that's green. That is green.
Next to your feet. And I remember looking at her and I couldn't understand. I can understand why when she took the socks into her hand to put them on, she smelled them before she put them on.
I thought there was this like antiseptic strip or something in the socks. I thought this was the product of flying.
Oh God.
Anyway, it's so stupid. I'm embarrassed. It's really stupid.
That's so funny.
Well, you certainly had.
I've learned a few things in the meantime.
I was
Let's
just
just
saying.
say.
Well, I mean, everybody perceives you as being incredibly sophisticated.
No, it's
Now we know better.
She's never gonna be like the one before.
You were eventually signed in the States, weren't you, by a small label, but a very influential producer, David Foster.
The group had taken it upon themselves to come to the Hit Factory and wait, and wait, and wait, on the hopes that I would come out. And I did, and I took a look at them, and of course here's these 3 beautiful sisters and their handsome brother, and they all had their instruments with them, and they said, "Hi, we're here." I went, "Oh, right, the Corrs, yeah, I remember getting the phone call." I was so spellbound by their looks, I said, "Let's go upstairs and play for me."
I would love to love you like you do me. I'd love to love you like you do me.
I think what did it for David was that we not only played the demo for him, which was actually Love to Love You at the time, which was a demo we'd done at home, but it was that we sat around a piano and we did it acoustically for him, and I think that's what David really liked about the band.
You recognized my barrier to love.
They played on the piano live for Foster, who was blown away. That was the day before we were due to come home.
We had a record deal the next day. If we hadn't have met him, it mightn't have happened.
So you must have just gone giddy that night and just lived it up big style.
We did, and it was made all the more greater by the fact that we'd been turned down and nothing had happened prior to that. We went home on the plane the next day in very jubilant spirits. Absolutely.
With the record deal finally struck, the Corrs relocated to America to begin work on their debut album. And it was here that the real complexities of being a working family began to emerge.
We were all living in the one house over there because David Foster had rented the house he had been staying in to us, and the studio was at the bottom of the garden. And it was very claustrophobic. I mean, it really was. It was great to do the album, but when we were at home, we had our own lives. When we moved out to the States, we were really stuck together, and it was too claustrophobic. I think if you stick any group of people together in the one house for 6 months with the added pressure of producing the best album ever, you know, I mean, you're going to have friction. We were irritable. We needed our own space, you know.
I never really loved you anyway. I know I didn't love you anyway.
I think also, I mean, we were at an age that you're supposed to be like the natural progression in life, and what everybody does, and down to the animal kingdom, you flee the nest. You don't flee the nest with the rest of the birds that were in it, you know. You flee it.
You want to lose the
flee
birds.
it, but no, here we're fleeing the nest, except it's together, and we just land in another nest for a while together, and also with all that pressure. So I think it's just, I think the first years of being so intensively working as well did put a strain on us together, because you just nearly want to just go at times, you know, and you can't. It's the most natural feeling in the world. So the first years were difficult.
Thunder only happens when it's raining, and players only love you when they're playing.
The Given Not Forgotten provided you with hits in Australia and then Spain and other territories around the world, but it really was Talk on Corners and the release of Dreams that bedded you in as for regulars in the charts here, wasn't it?
Yeah, we could feel the bubbling a little before that even. I mean, I think it was a combination of playing in the Royal Albert Hall on St Patrick's Day and having that televised, along with, for the first time in our careers, Radio 1 playlisting us with Dreams. So it just, I think that combination got it moving here, thanks be to God.
Were you starting to worry that it might not happen for you here?
It was very frustrating. I think we used to always say that, you know, if you want to make it in countries, it's lovely to make it in a country that you'd like to spend time in. Now, spending time here is like spending time at home, you know, especially now we're so familiar with it, but, you know, and also if we're homesick, it's just 40 minutes away, you know, so it was frustrating that, you know, our big fans were Australia, even though we love Australia and everything like that, but hey, it's a long journey.
When it did come, it seemed to come with just a succession of hits. I mean, there really was very little time to catch your breath in between the release of one single to the next, to the next, to the next big festival.
When I sleep, I see you in my dreams. I never really loved you anyway. I know I didn't love you anyway. To make you love me. What can I do to make you care?
Life really changed quite dramatically for you, didn't it?
It was great. I mean, it felt wonderful, and it felt like, you know, it felt like a relief. You know, it was very exciting, but I think we were relieved because we had tried so hard, and to finally be able to do it here was a huge relief to us. And I think it seemed like a succession of hits, but we always felt that we could do it here. We always felt that Forgiven Not Forgotten should have been a big album here, and thankfully now, because of Talking Corners, it has been a big album. But we always felt it should have had a chance. So it did, and it has been like a whirlwind for the last year or so, and it has done so well, but it's been great.
So listen to the radio, and all the songs we used to know. So listen to the radio, remember where we used to go.
With their music finally topping the charts around the globe, there was one more dream to be achieved: a homecoming performance at Dublin's Lansdowne Road Stadium.
It was definitely a dream, a quite ridiculous dream that we had, and our manager had for us, that someday that we'd play Lansdowne Road, and we'd sat it out just ourselves.
We came out from the dressing rooms and walked to a certain point, and the crowd couldn't see it at that point. And then we had to go up a ramp, and we were going to be seen by, I think it was the East Wing and the East Stand. And as we come up, some of the crowd saw us and a big roar went up, and with that, it was just the adrenaline. I remember looking at Sharon's face, and Sharon was just, she was shaking, you know. Just the adrenaline was pumping through our systems, and we were scared because we've never played to an audience of that amount on our own, headlining on our own at that stage. And the video finished, which is of us walking down a long corridor, and the curtains went up to the opening of Only When I Sleep, and there we saw the whole audience, and it was for me, it was like doing the bungee jump, which I did once before. The adrenaline rush was kind of similar to that.
When you start selling lots of records, your lives change considerably. Your schedules change, the places that you sleep change. You've gone on the B&Bs and the dusty old vans, and in come the, you know, first-class flights. And it's rather lovely, but it's very difficult as well. Did you find it hard to get your head around being famous faces?
I don't think that anyone will ever adjust to getting your head around that, to being famous, to being a celebrity, because it's It's not really a natural thing, is it? You know, it's not really natural. It's kind of like an illusion, and I think it'd be very dangerous to start believing the whole propaganda of the thing. So I think that's the one thing about being family, that we do, you know, we help to keep each other down to earth, I think. But the attention is kind of a little bit hard to take. It's unusual, but you do get used to it, and it is, you know, the fact that your lives are under microscopic scrutiny is very strange, and I think at the end of the day, you know, people are probably surprised to realise that, you know, our lives are really, at the end of the day, no different than anybody else's. I mean, when we go home, when we've time off, we do exactly the same things that everybody else does, you know.
When your day is long and the night is yours alone, when you think you've had enough of this life, well, hang on. Don't let yourself go, 'cause everybody cries.
Fame, I think, is a very strange thing. I mean, it's something, I think, as a defense mechanism, you can't conceive it, that it's actually happening to you. And so I never feel like that person, and neither does the rest of the band. And I think that is so that you'd maintain your sanity, because I think if you really felt that you were that known or whatever, you might hide, you know, because it's not a very natural existence. So I think that that's a side of it that is an incidental part of having successful music and being performers and a band and everything like that, but you really can't focus on it yourself, because that plays with the head. That's dodgy stuff, dodgy territory.
Did
you find it strange, Caroline, the amount of interest people showed in the way the band looked? I mean, suddenly it was like, whoa, instead of core. Yeah. And, you know, you must have felt very uncomfortable with that, because you are first and foremost, and they've never pretended to be anything other than musicians.
Yeah. I think when you get three girls together, three sisters as well, you know, especially with the girls, they, I have to say, Jim, they're gorgeous too.
Yeah, Jim.
I didn't know you cared.
But I think there is attention on that, and you know, as women are going to get that kind of attention. It was, you know, guys not as, you know, much, but yeah, it was kind of strange for us, because to us we were just, you know, playing in a band and we were doing music, and of course it helps. You know, for camera and all that thing. If you do look good, I mean, of course it's going to help your career, and we've never felt, you know, inhibited by it or anything like that. But there, you know, sometimes it can overshadow the music. There are times where the focus could have been, you know, can be at certain, somebody might focus in on that and kind of overshadow a little bit. But, you know, really and truly, at the end of the day, you know, it's the music that comes through, I think, you know, and that's what we'd hope for.
At the end of 1998, I mean, you really were at your career peak to date. You had rounded off the year as the biggest selling album artist in the UK, and you were able to go home for a year, albeit to work on your third album. That must have been an amazing feeling after almost 8 years on the road.
It was. I mean, it was long overdue, though. I mean, it was to go home was just really, really long overdue, and but to go home on such a high was an absolutely wonderful thing. But actually, after we won the Brits and the Best Album, I think we actually went out to America and did some promos. We didn't actually quite go home straight after that. But when we did finally get to do the album in Ireland, that was a tremendous relief and just like a well-needed kind of break from the life we'd had, because we had been plugging away at this for 8 years solid at that stage. And even when we were recording the last album, and every time we toured, we also promoted. So it was like an endless turntable of non-stop work. So it was great just to focus on the album and also have a bit of a social life and see your friends and just do really normal things for a year.
And you moved into your very first home, didn't you, Andrea?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your own, a place to call your own, which must have been so welcome after such a nomadic existence.
Yeah, because I mean, I do sometimes feel like a weirdo because I never, just because sometimes, and then other times because I didn't like have a life where I left school and went to college and left the family and was staying in a flat or an apartment or staying on my own in any way. So to do that for the first time in my life at 25 was fantastic, and I get such a blast out of having my own home. And you know, I think we all do, though. The thing is that your freedom and your personal life is there, and that's and it's so cute.
What was your state of mind when you sat down to start recording In Blue?
I think it would just, when you achieve a certain level of success, which we had, it was almost like a certain amount of the pressure was off. And we knew from recording Talking Corners that we didn't want to be in a pressured situation again, because Talking Corners was the second album. I think there's more pressure with the second album than there is with the third album. Because the second album has to top the first one, and if it fails, you'll probably never be seen again. But the third one, you know, you've already kind of proved yourself twice at that stage, hopefully, as we had done. So we were just very natural about the whole experience, and just writing came so easily. It was incredible, and almost every song we wrote is on the album.
Go on, leave me breathless.
Breathless is certainly a bigger sound for you guys, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and it's without the help of Mutt Lang, we mightn't have necessarily taken a song in that direction. And it's like what we keep hearing is that, you know, it's just so it's in your face, you know, and it's just wonderful the way that turned out, and that was purely. We always wanted to work with Mutt Lang, but it was purely through meeting him at a party in the park.
I went out to Switzerland, and that's where he lives. And so we started it in a house, and then we needed a change of scenery, and it's so beautiful. That we went into a forest, kind of like a foresty area. It kind of sounds funny now, the story. I kind of wish I hadn't said it before, but, you know, woo. And it was a beautiful day, and wrote some of it there, him just with his guitar.
The last two albums are very Irish in their sound. I would say this one sounds less Irish.
Do you think so?
Yeah, which is bizarre. Considering
well, we didn't want to repeat the same thing again in terms of having the Irish traditional music interweaving between songs. We want to try and be different every time, but in every song that we write, we try and include the traditional Irish element. But sometimes it just doesn't work. We do try. If it doesn't work, we're not going to put it in.
It did take 5 years to get a record deal. A lot of bands, before they get a record deal, think the record deal is the ultimate thing, but it really is the beginning. It is the first stepping stone, and it's the smallest stepping stone to get over, because from there on in, you literally have to sell your music door to door, country to country, and that's the way it works. I mean, we basically travelled the globe and just worked.
This is a special day for all of us.
Wow. See, they're bullying after 10 years.
We're thrilled to have you as part of our family, and we'd like to help you celebrate your 10 years together by presenting you with this beautiful plaque in recognition of 10 million sales in Europe.
Wow. That is amazing. Wow, that's great. That is brilliant.
10 years, 10 million. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
And we had a dream. Our manager had a dream, and I think we've exceeded our own expectations of where it would take us. We've had many fantastic moments. We chose to dedicate this album to our mother, Jean, who unfortunately passed away about 5 months ago. She died of an incurable lung disease, and she herself and Daddy were very much a part of what we have become and who we are, both musically and personality-wise. And she was our greatest fan.